Jehovah. 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 Ubunao Jehovah. Honor, glory, adoration, exaltation unto his name. For he is God, the God of our fathers, the God of this creation. Abusiano Prime Mo Achinda was say at the back of Kroko Jumedia, so Peace 104.3. Kokroko Chame, the Ghana's Morning Voice Chairman General, Kwame Safakai. Yade bro Juada Kokafiada. And Penny 14 Timami Di Chame. Dr. Father Dixon, Kennedy Asantos, Sofo Kojasante, Stephen Baffo, Peter Square, Isaac Opoko, Pretty Joy, Dominic Nyanuvo, Nana Pepra, and Opay on the flip side. Naposo Hima, Ajua Yaboa J, Odi Ahinkai Kwame Yaboa. Nemo me out him in your friend and I are Kessie. Me Catholic GD here, me pa to share me a bit me a friend the Cardinal. And pay ye bedin come beyond. Me pesa me bisa utia wa say. One who no penny, and I will be on in penny fear so I yet it in that. Sebia, Oba Penny Mo, and a bestie webby. Not ye, and I kayaka dear, but Scocobeka say elder abuse. One who be that. If you don't command pay. Kokroko near Peace 1043. Enti area sinyina 15th June. Edi si ho ekae etu trasem na yakayaka dia ye etiam penifo. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Afi, as empty as that so. I say grow the conversation, recognize the signs, reduce the risks. Professor Achi Esuman, Prof. Anope Michiao. Minim sa ho ye pa. Anope Research Fellow. Oye niema bebre. Ewa University of Ghana. I don't hear pa baby abehu no a Center for Aging Studies. The friend of Dr. Delali Dovi One Miami Niaba Mami Ifua Anderson and Ewa Hano Pay. You don't about chuchin come on. Say elder abuse say a day. Team, I'm in cost studio 2 minute. Dr. Delali Dovi and Mami Fu Anderson and Chuchin Komo. Mami,
yes.
At the same.
Bako.
And I do have a majuma
For change.
See the America say, Yana, yes, sir.
For change.
It's a necessary. I'm a vigilante. The America be an way, and yes, I meet me. I feel you. Say, we be able to there.
For Chavivia Boko.
That you want to say.
For Cham Nadum.
Yeah, then I'll be a say. Dr. Dovi.
Hello, Nana.
Good morning. Now what is saying?
Pokonyamino domedas na unso.
Yanko pardon kakra. Yes, you hear pa.
Yes.
You. Anope de yeda sese monya ye ho adaje a ye betwetwe enkomo. Do se ye ka se elder abuse a me pa cho e de ade a.
Ube permit me anka meka brofo kakra o.
Fafrafra. Baby a untimi twi na de brofo afra.
Elder abuse and neglect refers to the intentional harm and neglect of older adults who are perceived to be vulnerable. Older adults in this context refers to people who are aged 60 years and above. They say, older adult, opinion with 60 years, edeko, near your friend is older adult.
I see.
Right.
Eti abuse no ye say ya shed access angofwe ye betete o ma na ye be o ma yakayaka de
and you can abuse in so it is a human rights issue.
Okay.
Actually, the reason being that B and nipa na who abusing no or you vulnerable kakra.
Okay.
In the sense say nipa no cognitive impairment. Now you na yakayaka de want me so defend no ho. E bi so wo ha na ye beka say onkai so why no nia why no but consistently which you also now yes you know it's not good because that you are abusing the person's human rights.
Okay. And is okay say nipa no cognitive impairment then no patch saying.
Oh na che say on say ye frame be cognition ye nyi no adwin you know the way people perceive things so but say nipa wo ho no e bi no mutimi twa 60 plus na but who say ni tibia na sesa kakra say ni odwene no sometimes odwin crab you slow about fem kakra and so obi or says you obi with cognitive impairment e bia na nipa no with dementia Parkinson's disease enti e bia say na e kan ni otimi reason ya nwoma no ento so sa.
Okay. Okay.
Enti may I continue? You can elder abuser. It includes or encompasses a lot of dimensions.
Okay.
We have the physical dimension to it. We have the sexual dimension. We have the psychological or emotional dimension, financial or exploitation dimension, neglect and abandonment.
Okay. So. Marco.
Yeah.
From the psychological dimension.
That's verbal abuse.
The psychological dimension actually emphasizes the notion of verbal abuse more.
Okay.
Say senior kasa chire nipa no. Oh, when you nyansa biom. Thank you. That's even the spiritual dimension. The before part, we will come to that one. But the psychological, emotional, as I'm now come more often to the personal. Ebia prior to 60 years, no, na unkasanchira no sa, but now I to say liability bisa not dependent no. Na kasa no se ne ekono na enko ye. We are boa, we Jimiana, Jiniana, those kind of things, are abusive. Okay. Emotionally, it's not healthy for the older adults.
Okay. Are you for episode to become one?
Oh yes. For the verbal abuse, it's usually
I mean for the OTP country. Dr.
I prefer the English. it's usually in our Ghanaian setting.
Okay.
It usually happens when there's caregiver burnout, and caregiver burnout is when the caregiver has taken care of the older person and doesn't have enough rest, or no one has relieved the person of the caregiving aspect. Yes, wabre. That's why sometimes they abuse the older person verbally.
Okay. Doc, what about the sexual abuse?
The sexual abuse, it's like having non-consensual sex with the older adult, or forcing him or her to be naked.
Okay.
That is something they do not want to do. And frankly, if you observe such people very well, you realize that they are careful at certain times. Even those who have cognitive impairment, it gets to a time when caregivers are dressing them up, you see they are quick enough to try to put the cloth around them. It means they don't want one person who adeja or be in adeja, that kind of thing. So if older adults have find themselves in such situations that they can't do much about, and a person who is much stronger, physically, or more, shall I say, normal than the older person in this particular context because of the notion of vulnerability, then sexual abuse comes in. Because sometimes they force and have sex with such.
Wow.
And it's not a pleasant thing at all.
Okay. And remember other issues was our area, but before that, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. If you hear about it,
it's the world as a whole coming to the consensus that there are several things that are worth the world's attention.
Okay.
And as we all know, the numbers of older adults across the world is increasing, even in Africa and in Ghana. And if that is the case, it is not a situation where we have to put older adults under the table anymore, under the bushel, but that we have to bring them to the limelight. And it's also an indication that more often than not, older adults, experience abuse, but they are relatively underreported. And so people do not really know what goes on. And other times in our African Ghanaian setting, we put it under the table. Oh, this one is a family issue, and it remains there. But the thing is, collectively, this thing is happening across a wider range of areas. And if that is the situation, then we need to create awareness about it for people to be aware, so that those who see situations or observe situations where older adults seem to be in trouble, as far as abuse is concerned, they can take some kind of action, advocacy, or support, or even report the situation for a remedial measure to be taken and to salvage and protect the older persons involved.
Okay. Mame,
yes.
Odianka, Ubakaza Unyinisa. Na then away how mau? Then one who didn't only maintain my way, how mau?
Okay, for me, it's a silent pandemic. Elder abuse is a silent pandemic because I would like to give an example. We were given an assignment where we had to interview some older people on elder abuse, and I noticed that a lot of people were reluctant to give me the information because why would I bite the hand that feeds me? They usually depend on their caregivers.
Yeah.
And if I'm reporting the caregiver can decide to take care of me or not.
Or can even abandon you.
Yes. That's why it's underreported. In our Ghanaian setting, we've not really made emphasis on elder abuse. We've not made noise on elder abuse. So that's my issue.
Okay. Doc,
Yes.
Ghana has a story to say.
The story, in as much as we say it is underreported, it still comes to the fore quite often. I think somewhere last year, was it June, the same day, June 12th.
Okay.
Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital.
That woman, yeah.
There was an older adult.
Yeah.
People say 60 years, people say 60 plus. But then at least she's in the 60 range. Who I heard was an accident victim,
Yeah.
and was in that particular hospital. They didn't know what happened. The next time, I understand she was responding to treatment. The next minute she was placed or dumped at a bush. And in fact, they didn't even locate where her family was. And I understand through the same circumstances, she passed on. So the issue, that is a case in point.
Okay.
It means that there could be several others ongoing that have not come to the public eye. And so we are trying to emphasize, the notion of awareness about such situations. In as much as the numbers of older adults are increasing across the world and across Ghana, or within the settings of Ghana, we have to be aware of all other issues that concern older adults. So we can work around trying to resolve them, solve them, because if we all do not die prematurely, we shall get to that age. And if we don't set the base well, we'll be having challenges when we get there. And the problem becomes everybody's problem.
And when I said yes, o create sa awareness here, okay. Say never ya ayakayaka de ayetia on my one penny fierce no eto obetwa.
Well, it becomes the duty of every individual. This particular platform, as you have allowed it or facilitated, I told you, was a group of organizations that came together, realizing that, we are trying to address issues that pertain to older adults, but the notion of elder abuse and neglect or abandonment is also another issue that is worth our attention. And so if we are talking about providing all the needed infrastructure for older adults, the awareness of it and putting measures or modalities in place is also another key thing. And some of the organizations involved in this include AGE, Association of Ghana's Elders. We have Golden Chapter. The Center for Aging Studies is one, where I'm representing at this point. We have a Mobile Doctors, Great Age, Resilience Foundation, Good Old Age Foundation, Lola Baby Elderly Care. We have Aleva Center and Dove. We have tried to make the noise, to make Ghanaians wake up from the slumber that we may be thinking that all is well with our older adults, but it may not be in its entirety. There may be a place in terms of slop that we are not, taking note of, which we need to do so that their well-being is well catered for and protected. Because if we talk about the notion of abuse, the other types also include financial abuse. And in such situations, you see some older children of the older adults involved, or their caregivers or significant others who know that they have money and will be taking the money without letting the person know. So more or less defrauding them. So there are several scams that also take place in this setting. And when these things are happening, it's a concern to those older adults. And sometimes it goes a long way to inform the decisions that they make. And so it is good to know these things and make sure, we try to deride our country and inhabitants from exhibiting such acts. And we have also the dimension of physical abuse. That's why, you see, you have a bruises on the person, or that the person is hit, you hit the person. The older adults may be hit by whoever is involved, the abuser. And more often than not, as we observe that when we talk about abusers of older adults, we do have individuals who are referred to as caregivers, but more often than not, family members have been observed as ones who most often abuse older adults in this setting. So caregivers also are found doing same. So sometimes if you are using resistance by force against the older adults, that's also physical, because then the person doing it may be stronger physically and in strength than the older adults involved. The spiritual dimension of elder abuse relates to conferring the status of being witches, as earlier indicated. And when this happens, they are sent to prayer camps, or in the northern part of the country, they are sent to witch camps. And sometimes even there, they get abused, and they are banished even from their communities. And so these, including neglect or abandonment as a form of abuse, are key issues that do matter to us and which we need to take cognizance of. If you desire a caregiver, gets caregiver burnout or gets frustrated because the older adult is not trying to listen to them, to do or undertake simple chores that goes to help the older adult in question, and they decide to desert them, or they fail to provide them with the needed care, perhaps medication, assistance, or refuse to give them food, that is neglect and abandonment. Sometimes some even leave, without even informing anybody that they are going. A case in point was a lady giving care to an 80-year-old woman, and it's as if the old woman makes her get exhausted.
Okay.
It's like it takes a while for the woman to buy into what she's saying. And seeing an older woman who has lived for 80 years, and you are under 40, obviously, the age gap. So the person feels to have more experience. So sometimes some of them come to think like, you cannot tell me what to do.
Yeah,
but the point is they need help too. And so sometimes perhaps the way we even say it may help. But when the caregiver is experiencing burnout, then frustration is in it, right? So that being caring does not come in. And so the situation, the case in point of the situation was that as early as 2 p.m., the caregiver said she had given supper.
2 a.m. or 2 p.m.?
2 p.m., sir, to the older adult.
Okay.
And then the child of the older adult asked, where did he? Anio, Pacho, Annie, did he? And a bamboo did ye, and a boy. No, see, ye did supper. So, no, so. I was saying, was it 2 o'clock? No, ye did supper 2 o'clock. No, see, ye did ye. And so the lady realized that perhaps these are things that have been ongoing for some time. So she quickly went to the house and wanted to salvage the situation. When it was around 5 o'clock, decided that, Famoribra, yenye cocoa. So she prepared the cocoa. When she prepared it, the lady took the cocoa. The older woman also took the cocoa. They took it in full. In other words, but then the caregiver, whatever the reason was, if the daughter hadn't come, the mother would sleep on empty stomach. Seriously, there are issues, my dear. There are issues.
Okay. Nyame adoma Monday 15th, right? And 16th.
16th.
Monday is 16th.
But the actual day for us is the 15th.
15th, which is Sunday.
Yes.
And dear Nebesi of Ghana, how are we celebrating it? What are we doing in Ghana?
Well, we as a network, we are called the Network of Ghana, organizations working with older adults. So more or less, we decided that prior to the world celebrating it, we wanted to make a lot of noise. And part of the noise is what we are making here.
Well, this is awareness, not noise. Ubisa, Ubia faces, there's a noise, the unwanted sound or signal.
Well noted.
Waiting and necessary awareness.
Okay. Then it is not noise anymore.
Yes, it is not
I
noise
withdraw
anymore.
my statement.
Thank you very much. And see, if we celebrate corner, dear Namopesa Ghana for Enye. M1 network ya mo mafatom ho so say abuses are 80 and mobile hunde.
Okay, we are trying to say that I first wanted to bring out the notion of what really elder abuse is.
Okay.
then talk about the types that there are,
Yeah.
and then the way forward. When
Okay.
you find a situation of abuse, what do you do?
Sure.
One of the things that we want to say is that there's the need for the one who chances upon an abusive situation, to pay closer attention. Sometimes it is possible that the older adult may be talking, but the other person who is listening may not be listening.
Okay.
There was a study we had on dementia, and then dementia means that. And then the son said, when my mother talks, sometimes we feel like she's just trying to get our attention. But it got to a time he realized that he had to put his eyes down, pay closer attention. And perhaps he came to see exactly what the mother was trying to say. There was a little of a slop or a neglect on the part of the caregiver.
Okay.
But they believe that because all the time when they are around, she's hardworking, then, she's not leaving any stone unturned. But there were some slots that were, quite open, not being attended to. And the woman was trying to, but the children were not getting it. Or to eventually, in fact, it was towards the end of her life, actually, that they came to see what it was that she was talking about. So it means that when we see or observe situations of elder abuse, we need to pay closer attention to what is on the ground, because it is only then that you'll be able to address the concerns of the older adults. It's not because the person wants attention. Sometimes they can be very, very difficult because they just want that attention. And sometimes people think they feign it or they fake it. Well, even if it is a fake, sometimes there may be an iota of truth in it. So we need to pay attention. We also need to engage these older adults more. Once the person is talking, or maybe you live with them and you are trying to go out and the person says, "Oh, who be? Nah, time ben now, beba." For me, when you start asking those questions, that was the person wants you to be, on your yanka won't call. So then if you go, you should watch out and come much earlier. If your person will have you around for some time, you may not know. And so
Yes.
Question. Call. Time ben now, beba. Those things are it's like a hidden desire.
Okay.
The person is not openly saying it, but it's there on your anchor. So perhaps we should engage them more, and we should also try to assess situations, abusive situations that we hear of, or the older adults try to allude to, try to point to indirectly. We should try to assess and see what the thing is, and we need to be very objective. Put our eyes down, really see really what is going on. Is it really something that is worth fighting for a change for, or trying to get solutions for, or we should just let it be? We have to actually do that assessment. And when it becomes critical and we do not know what else to do on our own part, at least we should refer. Seek a place. Is it social welfare? And the case in point we were talking about at Gomwa or Ojobi or whatever.
Ojobi, yeah.
That case, a case came out about Department of Social Welfare being contacted with this situation. And then they rather also had to go and call another NGO to find out from them if they have space where they can put those older adults. Then this one, if we are talking about addressing issues, when situations of abuse of this nature or neglect happens, just like we have older children's homes, we need to have a similar thing at the state level. So across the country, when it becomes so critical, older adults can be, housed in there, like that particular case in point. Perhaps if we had a thing like that in the central region, that older adult wouldn't have passed. But we lost her. And there could be several of similar cases going on across the country. And so we need to have the infrastructure in place gradually. Rome was not built in a day. That's our point. Back in the days, the Western world were swamped with issues of older adults, their support and needs, notions of protection and safety. So they worked at it. But it didn't start in a day. It was gradual. We can also start on the same footing. Gradually, we also, amass some kind of infrastructure that will take care of our increasing numbers of older adults.
Ha, some Mamma,
Yes.
yeah, but sorry. Then I'll pass out catch it at you for a chatto.
Okay, so what I would like to say is please come out if you are being abused, and we can solve it. You can.
But Mamma, wouldn't say, and yet easy for older persons to come out to say, I'm being abused by my
Yes.
caregiver.
Oh, yes. I have been to Dovsu. I've worked there for some time doing my NSS, and I noticed that a lot of older persons, they just come and say, "Oh, Obumi," but then they don't know that it is abuse. They think maybe because they've done something and then the younger person is correcting them, they don't know it's abuse. So I was interested. That's why I came to Legon to do my course. I was interested in finding out why they are not reporting it, because my whole 1 year over there, we had like just 5 cases of abuse. I feel they don't want to come and report because they are taking care of them. The caregivers are taking care of them. If I report, who will take care of me? So I would like to say, if you are being abused, please report to the nearest police station. Thank you.
All right. Doc, but then I'll pass out chatto.
Finally, I want to say that elder abuse is real. And in as much as it is underreported, it doesn't mean that it does not exist. We need to wake up to the situation on the ground and do the needful to support older adults whilst they, serve the rest of their years on this earth. Sometimes, even these older adults we are talking about, their younger children die before them. Nobody knows when somebody goes. But then we believe that when we are considering age, the much older may go sooner. But that's notwithstanding, once they are alive, we need to make sure that no harm comes to them by virtue of abandonment, neglect, or other abuse on a wider range. Because if we do that, we may be contributing to part of the joyful lives of such individuals as they round up on the life trajectory. They are in the last stage. We do not know, but as I said, we don't know who will go first. So we shouldn't think they will go first or who will go first. Whichever it is determined by God himself. But then we should be able to have a situation where they are able to enjoy the last few years of their lives, in a grand style, even if it is on the on a small note, we still have to allow them to. And we have to do this. We have to support them. We shouldn't abandon them no matter what. It is difficult. For the caregivers, if they are tired, there should be a time where there's a notion of something called respite. A little break for them, to clear their heads so that at least they can, do the work with joy. But if they have to do it with non-stop without any break, it gets to a point they get tired and, the next thing is the older adult becoming the punching bag by virtue of abuse. Any form of the abuses we talked about can happen to older adults. And so we need to, be aware of the fact that older adult abuse is on the increase. It does exist. And we need to watch out for it, pay attention, and see how best, we can advocate, for older adults in this particular context. Support them and report cases for the right things to be done. And by virtue of that too, we end up, upholding their human rights. Thank you.
I don't pay me that so by Yamin Shrow.
Yes.
Yamin Shrow, why?
Amen.
I was a pay Dr. Delali Dovi. Ena afi mami efua Anderson omueno na mde omuchuchu nkomo efa ayakayaka de a eye etia wona ewo ompanin fie so efiefie mu ene yempota mu yenkrotuo mu ene emiamia nyina wiase nyina nyame yadom akwasi ada ebei ena wiase yesi ho a de kai sa ada no se said Dr. Dovika no se ye nyina yemfe ye nkoso erukasma ye tia wona ewo ompanin fie so no ebia wadwen ye o se ne say nipa na ho na ubu ono ene mranim ne ogiramo ema Henry Boachi Yadom a ogiramo ma NDC ewo akwatia epre akwatia mra hyebedwa ekonwa no anopei yene no edi nkomo kanze ma che
Yeah, me dear.
Nampacho apum.
Actually, I'm here to monster.
Nyankopo ado ehun ye pa. The last time I mean no edi akwatian komo sabre no na mwako Supreme Court ama o ka kire me say wo de ye ntwen den a court no ebekasa eno a court no ekasa e de te ya ne say court na bomasem na gu trial judge no kra no a o cite NS Yakumi for contempt no ya boss asem na gu asan hye ne say ma sa sentence no yes obe sentence no onye no ho kra so obekwa kotena so sa na ye de ete no una aye lawyer na work court net say
Yo, that Tifunia, swimming fancy, I was a farmer. Na think as a now can no quick. And not your call a year Supreme Court in anticipation say, yes, Sabeka, the decision of the court, will keep Red Kumi, and then a lawyer for the call a year Supreme Court after the High Court, the work of Region, are convicting for say when the court and Brano so a year injunction and done so. Now, Min County said, Min said, the TFY, a DSMH, any said, case no, you know, and now on the corner, ye be kind. Nay, a year case nan Kasa, say almost say, court in a no jurisdiction. Say, Obia, is answer. Na ebra ye file ye petition no ye 35 December 2024 no na electoral commission and gazette results na be exam of it okaya eti no any of normal grounds na almost answer stress court intra again junction na or the two and community so no na fi court and sanction shefe a judge no could be as a review. It is an yamami and son of the court a year I did kind of day 24, 2025. I don't know behind the court. Now after yes, a court and a convicted a you right has committed on the 19th day of February. And on the file a new that was Supreme Court. No more release no back 5. And no huge number no J37 2025. It's a no different name 7 hapo yimdi no. Nini ya kopo di unkomo wo Supreme Court will be high in argument. It's na and a Supreme Court man ruling wo na. At the Supreme Court there yin. Omo an kind be a lawyer can reason ruling no. Supreme Court and church statement oman kan antre ni omo ye ya say almost say Obi Yanfa motion paper because they're a bit technical. They all kind of say, who need to cut away a lawyer primary and now with you no cannot say it. It's the Obi Yanfa because if you are home, maybe you man, you'll be Yanfa. It's the kind and no can say a year fair suit, a year J24. No kind of say, really a year release, release 1, release 2. You need no former boy as on me and me a lawyer for me and the Nankasanya. He lives now, court up a year. Relief no ye be kind. Almost a declaration that the petition filed by the first interested party a year on the 31st of December 2024 in the absence of a gazette notification of the parliamentary election results to which the election relates is incompetent and says they did not properly invoke the jurisdiction of the High Court and that any order founded on same is void and of no effect. And no, as a normal can say, yen file petition no na gazette electoral commission any gazette a treasure election no or maybe a bibia e dane kwen and unti se na gazette ni ho dia and ye na bibia e file ye bia no enye papa e wo brem because they want to by a unanimous decision of 5-0, that is 5 meaning out of them and that there was a valid gazette. Until this uncle weapon. Now, mental be a court report as a bit to go. Omni on my yard. Near Tossumi, and so you say, a year two, an order of certiorari by this honorable court quashing the ruling of His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Senior Amedahi, sitting at the High Court 3, Kupuria, dated 6 January. 6 January ruling, and the injunction now, almost setting aside the court, Kupuria court, and any of my the petition filed on 31st. The petition filed on the 31st December 2024 and the interim injunction dated 2nd January 2025 made pursuant to the petition. 18 on your can say, that is a Shirara or your record is a court and Montungu a year judge a ruling a court in my a Kofridia a war 2nd January now or the injunction for so and then 6 now or back to be setting aside a court in Sonia Man has been. That money and court and want to say it's an gazette in the court at home and also court by 5-0 unanimous court in the home and that judge and from Sophia. Now a talk train on an order of prohibiting the learned High Court judge from continuing to hear and determine the election petition filed by the first interested party on 31st December 2024 for lack of a whole and judges 5 linear any of we are being cast up on preventive judge and the month to other Muslim review. Going forward, judge and to also in the assembly. Intino and with the suit 2025 court I declare by a unanimous decision of 5-0 court a judge and to us review. It in a kind of gazette in the honor court is all money near Tosumi, I also court a more injunction into court is all money in 5-0 and a third one also a 5-0 against us say court say on my judge in the assembly. My main free when I'm in Brad next one. Let's show what this means. Now the next suit, near J37 2025, and no name a fact a young contempt. Almost the release 6 by 6, last one usually near lawyer for any other as the court in faith, generally and cheddar and substantive. 85 5 release of the buy. A 5 release, and a court far back could be Anna who declare yes, you kind. That first one, and then me, the earlier suit, not the earlier said declaration, said petition in I file, now gazette, the whole in a court, in declare, say, a your voice, petition your voice. You will be a lawyer for your the poisonous tree. The Ibiano, a poisonous that, it may be a bounty of poisonous. It is strategy in the lawyer at the time. It is a court, the way to want, let it be a wax may be able to do. But, and also, by a unanimous decision of 5-0, of course, don't forget, the Engineer Gazette Cochray, it's a court not make a determination, but court 5-0, 4-1, court said there was no gazette. In fact, there was a gazette. Now, second one, kind of almost say a declaration that the contempt proceedings, contempt now, a man, you convicted the contempt proceedings and the ruling dated 19 February 2025, founded on the premature election petition filed on 31st December 2024, is void and of no effect. If the court declares contempt proceedings, the court in a claim for rent to be said, Ombra, no member in one, no court to be a seminal, one man no court to be a seminal, not unconvicted, Mr. Watombra. As our conviction on the 19th February 2025, Ura Gary Marco at the original Muma, you read this could be said, Sir, a seminal, and Yanukre say, a court no and Samra, Quanson or the year, yes, and say, Sabreno, not Gazette, in Nivo, in Tino, court need to be the so be convict you read this in that ruling, or most court in declares that court is all many in Adrian, also by a unanimous decision of 5-0. And touch mouth. An order of certiorari by this honorable court questioning the ruling of His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Senior He's sitting at the High Court 3, dated 19 February 2025. 19 February 2025, and only that of convict readiness. and also a petition and so a filing 31st no and also young pastor Shurara and can you want to interim injunction as you want to ruling now on the 6th and also court to Montu and also by 5-0 court on any agree. About 4 no and also an order question the ruling delivered on the contempt application and the execution of bench warrant issued by the court dated 19th February 2025 by His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Senyo Amedai. And court by a majority decision of 4-1. Ne koma wo mwekuti aye no court no e ka so no omne ne ya agbe. Eti court no by sa ruling na dated 19 February 2025 no sa ruling na court no issue bench warrant si en konkoche awareness for me no and not by a majority decision no of 4-1 court no say omne no ya agbe omne mo mi ya agbe. And I'm a 5 court no say almost say a prohibition against His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Senyo Amedai from proceeding to sentence the applicant. Say, awareness for me, atom rana court ebuane form. Almost say, ma court and koso and diasemno and man sentence and fanning for two and fanning for prison. Because you see a baby and also by a majority decision of 4-1, the court and so many years. So this is what the court said. But make it say, and now, the work court for them. Saka, we will not a Supreme Court near Cabe Chair, yeah, break and can kind, yeah, and we get pencil. Because Sabre on near trains the court in the back kind of decision. Into near show, maybe say, no, rather than some kind release. 80 year, because I made damn and one on essay. Give me a nominal educated some for a press conference. If you want a press conference, those almost catch a court there, almost catch a press and they say, court about a kind of thing. Conviction, no, any injunction didn't afterwards. But I think I will run to be lawyer for 5 level court and the marking can tell. But in fact, 1, 2, 3, no, a can't say, and not almost record, say, almost. A year judgment and a year ruling now a convicted awareness to me and more want to go to court and no a 5-0 book. Now a year bench warrant now court on the day of 19th that done now convicted no issue bench warrant and question and no by a majority decision of 4-1 court to say what they are to no dear my court my will be a question. Because the Supreme Court has see a but set aside the bench warrant. And the what answer catcher judge and say, oh, money is just with you. You name of reasons they train everybody. But what it means is say, conviction is in a house, awareness, and lady or that's your conviction. Name Momono, Yentia, Yentin channel, they say, as a court and a major for a tight sexual and prohibition. It's people you cannot if you let me say own stuff you did on the sexual right. But court, everything I hear say, oh, I don't need that and ask them or the number to bring yes, I can't say why. It is to me a critical problem in the amount judge for. If you want we are waiting, Supreme Court to say ruling no every year ready, reason ruling no ready 2nd July. It's the any year in here for ruling no 2nd July. Which ruling no better and judge for. And I say, if a coach judge is on because of the other number judge say, on judge for fra or better what he has said. If you are not conviction, of course, in certain aside. That judge and a better not right as coming sentences or the man, nor the man. If your name, so because say, injunction, you could be a court to the tone, so you're here to and you're and obligatory says a neck of redness to me, ye conviction, so I don't mark I tell. Almost second relief from the concept declaration that the contempt proceedings and the ruling dated 19th February 2025, founded on the premature election petition filed on the 13th December, is void and of no effect. Court by a unanimous decision of 5-0, court is all meaning. Except contempt proceeding in court, so court court any ruling in a court in on the 19th day of February, court Madia. Name woman on the sentence, and none a court, say, oh, ma, then sue bench warrant and pension by majority decision. Because court no and one. And a court no after council say, oh, more Amedahi. A year could be a portrait judge on man and Cosun Diaz. It is all man and Cosun Diaz now for Cochene now for the neighbor. It just see a change, not Chief Justice, am I a judge for and Sana, la Omatre, a pioneer young fossil, young poor witness, conviction and fossil, and the judge of bad man sentence. It is not you see, you know.
Mate, yadase, se bibia ba na ese no twetwe ho komo a yebese aba.
Mate, na menka we kada, e da no me ni odi nkomo no. Obeka ya ni e kan gazette no ho ase.
Kampa.
E no na na mpe ni be twa to. Now by that 5-0 decision by the court, that was first one no out of the 3 released no yenya 2 omnya 1. Second one out of the 5 released no yenya 3 omnya 2 no. The declaration say after there was a gazette as far back as the 24th day of December. In it calls into question gazette notification Gary and at the bar just 6 January. As I speak to you, we have lodged a complaint with the CID police. CID for now you Parliament and Omar Janet caution statement. As I speak to you, Omar prepared docket maybe at the Quarterly General Department, waiting for advice for the suspected crime of forgery and perjury. But you gazette notification and near process 6 January. And then on our court, Supreme Court acting so say, Sao the petition or more gazette on the buyer. Wrong because what year they are not. It's baby cool free, you know. As a song by the Chere and Brown. The change attorney general advice. Not the year to read the commissioner. No children, the you, Yan, Gazette, and then let Supreme Court. I can't send a Gazette in your papa. The you, near free, and I know you Supreme Court because really a civil matter. It is Supreme Court, they were as the way. On the basis of Supreme Court decision, you know, we can institute a criminal action against the surveillance. And we have done that. We are waiting there. A year. Attorney General, we have signals that we are working on it. It's very soon. It's going to be interesting. Now we are also awaiting the 2nd July reasoning of the Supreme Court to see the matter. Finally, you would admit, say, yes, you know, say, petition, and Kasan, they call a year court, now sentence and then so judge for so about it. No, so after awareness to be sentenced. It in your course, no. Obia Patrol say, Yabo Assembly, I mean, released me a grantee. It is all that I just want to release nothing. No one's in a grantee, a young grantee. Only mean coming here, Bunga, and grantee, and I grantee. It didn't really what fast to say a macho. It is a matter, someone to hear my opinion, which is a matter.
Meso meda se papa lawyer Bernard Bediako ono ne lawyer ni ogina mu Emma Henry Boachi Yadoma ogina epre akwatia mrahye bedwama kunwa no Emma NDC ewo afrase abato no emu. Prudential Bank say, Yemfan to any say, our Prudential Bank mobile app. Sa app no ebwa Emma and South Sobia opposite with the Prudential Bank for our platforms no utimi edisa answer was one. Sebia all link your mobile money wallet. And I say Oscar GHQR. Now we dear Bibika. O manage your cards and I say what transfer sika. Their free bank back or their call back. Prudential Bank mobile app no ma kwa ma wo yes ade on mo ye adwuma 24/7. Enti na me no ka say download PBL. That is Prudential Bank Limited. On mobile app no a free app store, Play Store, and I say Huawei for so app gallery. Over to your Prudential Bank website and our social media platforms. So now we don't in South. So Prudential Bank truly dependable. Prudential Bank Limited at Roma. I'm into dedication. Kakrem free one sana danko kuye boaba. Mrs. Doris Boateng wo Okanshi. Lukino Mr. Boateng. Ene wo ma. Ene abusuani nyina enkanka ene owura yere anane of city and city. Antimagi ose ananawa fo won te say. And to Mrs. Doris Boateng. Antimagi ene Papa Jamaica say yama happy birthday. Kwame Denchi, we are first vice chairman Trouble constituency MPP. And NPN here. Sir. Me who NPN. Anti Kwame Denchi, first vice chairman Trouble constituency. Kwasi Quarantine sir Omotrin Kwan. Happy birthday. Mrs. Hannah Mami Efua Abu. Of Holy Child Practice School, Fija in Takrade. From Mr. Abu and the children, celebrating you, Mrs. Hannah Mami Efua Abu. Happy birthday, Mrs. To you, Stefana Mame Abba Benyua Kwansa of Ecobank Ghana head office, consumer banking. Happy birthday to you from Mami Biama Kwafu of Despite Media. Stefana Mame Abba Benyua Kwansa. Enjoy, Stefana. Mrs. Emilia Amwa HR Ablekuma Central Education Directorate is 50 today. Happy Golden Jubilee, Mrs. Emilia Amwa. From Emilia Anna Nefrempong. Talking of HR, Madam Stella Abema of Electricity Company of Ghana, Winneba District. A staunch Catholic you are. A blessed morning to you, Madam Stella Abema. And to my brother Mark Frempong, also of ECG Winneba. To Madame Vivian Essina Mabuaje of Bellflower International School. Happy birthday to you. And to Mr. Bocci Emmanuel Kojo of Modena in Italy. From your wife Patience Amos Sapon. To Mrs. Monica Amwako from Afrakuma Ayeyi Nanapeu and KT. Celebrating you, Mrs. Monica Amwako. And to you, Mrs. Comfort Chum of C Enterprise from your friend Madame Ajua Konedu. And Chibiana Sposonoba. That should be a say in your Gary Nima Kuma for I know about your home come out. This one is to wish you Bernard Siedu of J.A. Biney Packaging a glorious birthday from your boss, Mr. Patrick Akins. And and the entire staff of J.A. Biney Packaging. And this one's a special birthday to Mr. Augustine Ado, former acting president, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. From the Nekia Mwabwati to you. Mr. Tony Yao Esari, Rapani, congratulations. Yes, congratulating you, my big brother Tony Yawasari. You are the president of Ghana Institute of Architects. Congratulations, big bro. And to wish Madame Grace Frimpong, aka Sister Ama Grace, a happy birthday. From Mr. and Mrs. Ofori in USA, Pauli and Marvin, and the rest of the family celebrating you today, Madame Grace Frimpong, aka Sister or Ama Grace. And to wish Angela Kwachua Mensah of NCR Insurance Company a glorious birthday from Derek Berfiti. Angela Kwachua Mensah. And this one says, Lady Matilda Boafua of Kubo Style Pharmacy at Adade ECOWAS Junction in Kasua celebrates her birthday today. Happy birthday to her, Lady Matilda Boafua. Happy birthday to you, Tilly. And a happy Golden Jubilee, happy 50th birthday if you like, to Reverend Andrews Nelson. Reverend Andrews Nelson Awintia, Regional Superintendent of Assemblies of God Ghana, and the head pastor of Bethel Family Assemblies of God in Tema Community 22 from Dachi Hiniti. This one says, my mom celebrates her birthday today. So to wish Mrs. Monica Asabil, President, Christian Mothers Association of Good Shepherd Parish, Tema Community 2, a glorious birthday from Amia Badamful and all your children to you. Mami Ajua, open and close. Good morning, Mami Ajua. This one says, kindly wish Mr. Justice Benson a glorious birthday. From Gifty Adams Tego and family to you, Mr. Justice Benson. Happy birthday to you, Justice. Uncle Fast Sports and okay, Mamenti Winfrey Hotel. Lawyer Gary Nimakoma for Director of Legal Affairs, NPP. Ewo Ahomanso. Council Marchen. Yes, Council. Adam Nanswe. Edenyamiase. Yene unia lawyer onuskoko jinemu ema NDC candidate atwetwen komosisi a ono so kire se enu asemo esi Supreme Court no said the dabonten enye sa kra de di kan mo ko se enka yenka se na gazette papa bia ni ho as a time no a na yakumi esu in no lawyer Bernard Bedi Akonse entisa court no 5-0 unanimous decision omone mo anya adwen afei mo kan so bio say sa abato asem no kra no nka yentwam kra ma yenkonkodi asem bia wo ho eno so court no majority decision ene mo anya adwen o chire mu a na mo relieve na mo pere ne ma be num emu miensa de na the crux of the matter nankasa no Supreme Court ene mo anya adwene enti the only time Supreme Court ne mo ya adwen ne say temuafo no ontwe ne ho mfiri asem no ho ena sentence no also be sentence ya okumi no so eno so on fanto nchen mo ntena asem so biom obi foforo ena Chief Justice be pe no na watena sa asem no so said the lawyer kai enya sa na tie de a na nchechemu no ye den
anayo the cousin menchao church for you. I don't know whether we were the same court yesterday. I don't know. But they released case in the court of case back home. I released no yeah, I'm saying say. And the second one no, I released no is no. Now, the beauty of the whole thing now is court no. Now you person court no, any ya you say. Iye ma wote akonya mu wo ofobia no. The conduct any the way efa na skumi asem no mo. Court no em prohibit no. You say court no em na nyina che. Na nyina asem bia. What's any in the skumi? Who? Court no. Court back no. The same thing now. Watch it in the skumi no. One chem. Three conviction also one chem. Omontungu. Only free person because what show say despite the fact that say you are filing kata de brebe or Supreme Court. You are filing kata de brebe whatever on the limb no. Why are you say on behalf so no? Or best sentence not down to prison. Supreme Court they are doing. If their interest is that they want to pursue the petition, they can pursue the petition before a different court or a different judge. But as for the conviction, sentence, and all those things, the Supreme Court has quashed it. That's what one majority decision. And today, when you're second,
but ono so encheche mu no akwanse court no am boss asem na ngo na mom judge no mom no se ontwe ne ho no obi from me
itself. The petition itself say almost say omo na win here no. And you want to win. You want to win.
Okay.
The petition itself you want to win. So what you say? It will go to Kopato Koforuya before a different forum or a different judge.
Okay.
Yes. Now, election acquire Sabi on a one school winning over 2,000 votes. No. How are they going to prove that I'm the winning election? Now, share their course you see, sir, they were interested in the contempt. Okay, the question because they were interested in the contempt, not the petition itself. So the contempt they go through. Near cheap apart of contempt, not with the prison. They ask for by elections. You break all grounds one man. The book can say, and there's going to prison. See, there's going to be a by elections. The book now they say there is going to be a by election because there's going to be actually contempt of the prison. That's what they've been saying in Akwatia, Rolls-Royce. All their interest is the contempt. So they put all their energy on the contempt. That's why I also put all my energy on the contempt. To make sure that contempt be a free one. That contempt came about so that if you're interested in the petition, the burden is on you. Go to the High Court of Bolivia. Demonstrate to the court, say, Nipa will win about 2,000 votes, no. One also win a year. Go to the court. Before a different judge, go to the court. Auntie, and I the cardinal have some no very simple matter. Prohibition a lie at your hypothegum. Say, you say no. He can no longer sit on the case. So the Chief Justice will now give the case to a different judge. That's one. Two, the contempt now, also what we're making on. Now there is no contempt order against the Nescumi. Three, the ruling now here now, what about you? That to me is the way to go. Because you see, justice must be seen to be done manifestly. Manifestly. Now, the way in the way in I said, Lord, me, I'm a case. I'm a case from the beginning on the election petition matter. Now, basically, there's a contempt matter against my client. I'm going to say that I did away, you know when you're actually. I don't know. Adaroma, you want to arrest your ruling. You have filed papers. Oh, say you filed papers to Supreme Court. If you be able to now, quite an hour assumption. You may be able to fear. We now want to arrest your ruling. Or say, means because you have no filed appearance. I bet a contempt case, because you are criminal, or file appearance on a judge at you. I bet yes, I didn't know I was going to have the contempt case. That means you open your laptop and start reading your ruling. Any SID we say. And definitely why you say that the other two be asking the why you to be no no be. The Supreme Court sitting there, five judges and said no. At the end now, Papa be no. What show say no bias towards the gentleman. What show say on fair to the gentleman. That's them no. Prohibit you. Which means that you should be. The court agree with me. Again, the thing will now my know what to know about at work. So now there is no contemporary against the Nescumi. However, petition if they are managed to pursue the petition, problem they can pursue the petition and demonstrate to a new judge after they can overturn 2,000 votes in favor of the former MP. 2,000 votes in excess. They can overturn it. It's up to them. If they must show the court with evidence, I'm going to win the case, no. I'm going to win the election, no. But the difference is over 2,000 votes. How can they prove to the court? So I'm going to win it. It's up to them. The burden is on them. And the burden is not on the me. It's on them. So I know the but the beauty of the whole thing, they say, as it stands now, Supreme Court as ruled, said, in terms of no, you're about to go. Ruling behind the
Supreme Court
lie against the presiding judge, that is Emmanuel Senor Amadahe. What means that case should be that simple as that.
And the Supreme Court back on Muninamo corner.
Yeah, for the same court to Sanamaya.
And up panel corner, 5 for Cronoa.
The same panel now, the cardinal.
And a Namunamo some war. And I'm confusing me on pay.
They say, Sanaya the cardinal. Who said maybe we don't control. And now, we are first one. I'm sorry, I was my loss. For the point of clarity, I want you to repeat the thing again. Because there are 2 cases before you. I put a J5, 37 something. But there are 2 different suite numbers. Also, really, a man will say no. It's on the second one, the contempt one. Relief 4 and 5 has been granted. And I will let them send it to you. The 4 and 5, and only relates to the contempt conviction. And the 5 relates to the prohibition that has been granted. In effect, it may say, but this is what I'm saying, we want to hold there. So if we put it means we'll go back to Gofurubia. If they are minded to pursue the petition, which I'm saying, the guy won with over 2,000 votes. How they can overturn that one, I don't know how they are going to do it.
Okay, Council, me pacho me de olo one for man Kobe. o shem boss over the mbeko wan fama nkonti
mama let's see me mo chole tele keep let's see am na mama me chaka na wa bako mama ko lawyer why you 3 years mo wi akola 2 years mo wi 5 years why lawyer
onya mama nko bi the kakra no a pocket one na mama fa ni di kakra the premise of sa contempt issue no say there was a gazette before Yakumi ekwa akoso in gazette ya na a prohibiting say ni ho kwa say oko enti say court no na wo ya adwen say contempt no eni nyina so de a na de na court no ka fa sa gazette no ho because na yenim say gazette na emienu e na mo pre ho
yeah and no gazette no court na kan say but my contempt no was not premise on the gazette. My contempt no I mean for me challenging my contempt no was premised on the numerous applications I'm filing or High Court and also at the Supreme Court. Judge, Justice, Imanasanya Madahe, on Tier Kabia. That's why I found Supreme Court Montungo, among others. So the second application was not premised simply on the Gazette alone. No. Numerous applications. I filed here or High Court. Numerous filed or Supreme Court. No, now. It's a mountain. It's like a mountain. A huge documents. You show the Supreme Court say, and cut away now, I filed or High Court. And cut away now for the Supreme Court to tell the judge, say, oh, yeah, oh, you know. Oh, yeah. Only idea why, but he keep continuing with the case. That's the first time the Supreme Court, but what one majority came here. Only to say, on decided on this particular matter at the Supreme Court. And the court may address it and say, in view of the contempt ruling, and honorable and will be heard at the Supreme Court. The court made us address them on that legal point. And I'm going to say yes. It can be heard. No, say address them on that point. You're filing legal submissions. And you're filing it. But the Supreme Court says the reason why but you're here no anyway. The rule said they can hear the matter. So what you say. And I court no a rule here. That's what is the way for us to even go there the subsequent hearings and I mentioned the Omuruli Kaka said, contempt no about to go. And prohibition so ally. So the Lordship Justice Manasenya Madahe can no longer hear the case action on NS Yaokumi. That is the point. If they are minded to pursue the petition itself in a different forum at Kufuria, they are able to do so. They are the petitioners. They took the man to court. They can pursue it and go and prove to the judge. There. It doesn't vote now on in SS no. I don't know, should rather come to them and not to the Siakumia. That is all. That to me is profound. What to me is good means when the Siakumini says the contempt no. I chill na born war of Wobian. I know to me MP will be our them no. They were peeling them or a free man. That to me is a profound victory for him.
Council, that's no pay.
The cardinal. And that's it. No more law school, you know, who you and let's see how
Wadaruma. Well, when you say boy, the Wadaruma,
thank you. Bye.
Bye. Lawyer Gary Nimako Mafu. You saw the trata.